G'day, Mark Rothfield here for Club Marine TV, and welcome aboard the new NAVAN C30. It's not just a new boat in the Explorer segment, it is a whole new brand for international company Brunswick, with super premium finishes and hot performance. I reckon we're in for an adventure ourselves today, so stay tuned. Before we start, I thought we'd have a chat with Peter Collins from Collins Marine, who represents Arvor, Quicksilver and Nanny Diesel here in Australia. Now, Peter, you've obviously done a lot of homework on the NAVAN. What impresses you about the boat and what sets it apart from other models in the Brunswick range and also competitors?
Well, I think firstly, Mark, the fact that we're coming in late to the party is quite evident. Some of the other brands have been around for 7 or 8 years. And it allowed Brunswick to reflect on what's happened in the market, seen this trend, and then refine it even further. And it really is showing all their efforts in refining what is a great boat, but making this one better.
Tell us about some of the technologies on board the boat, because Brunswick owns lots of companies.
They do. You know, they've really pushed into this sector because they own Mercury, as you know, big boat brands like, Bayliner, Sea Ray, Boston Whaler, Utern. They've now also got this whole division of electrical technology, which include Simrad, which is Lowrance, B&G, the list goes on. So all this technology, including this new C-Zone section, is also included in this boat. This is where they've taken the styling out of Europe, but all the IP, electronics, technology has all come out of the US.
As Peter alluded to, the NAVAN was 2 years in the making, as Brunswick sat back and saw what was happening in the adventure segment before diving in. But rather than imitating, they've innovated in this case and gone a step further in comfort, quality and performance. There's only one hull at this stage, but 2 versions, a C30 cabin that you see here, and also a more open T-topped S30 version. On this high, wide and handsome transom, you can have a choice between dual outboards or a single 400 horsepower. Now here we have twin 250 V8s. Maximum horsepower is twin 300s, and that'll give you 55 knots, which is plenty fast enough. Whereas the single V10 400 will get you closer to 42 knots. Fuel capacity, incidentally, is 400 litres, so you won't want to go that fast for too long. And that's why I think these twin 250s are a good option. Still versatile, still plenty quick enough, and also just that bit more fuel efficient. Nice easy transition from this good sized boarding platform into the main cockpit. There are walkways both sides. This has an optional ski bar, and what's immediately apparent is the quality of the finishes. This upholstery is really high quality, extremely solid. Under the floor here is more storage. That's one of the advantages of having outboards out the back instead of inboards. This whole area becomes storage for your sea bobs and your flight boards and all those adventure toys you like to use. It's quite a decent sized cockpit when you look around. A little bit of protection here from the extension. Nice 3-seater bench here, and that's complemented by pull-out seats. Both sides of the boat drop in a cockpit table and you can sit out here and socialise. NAVAN does offer a wet bar, outdoor barbecue, a small sink and an ice box. But as you know, Australians do love their cockpit space, so they've dispensed with it and you can cook inside. This is a genuine walk-around cruiser. Really safe, nice and wide, high coamings as well. It's a high hull, so if you have children on board, they are going to be really safe. And a few nice touches as well. Recess here has some posts for the awning that goes over the bow area. Pop-up clear to midships. Up on the foredeck, it is surprisingly spacious. You get a double width sun pad. Now, these backrests can hinge forward to create a chaise lounge. Handrails as well. It's not somewhere you'd stand up, but you can definitely move about safely and hold on. Really easy access as well to the anchor locker. It does have controls at the helm obviously, but you can also see what the chain's doing. And just over that in this case is a little platform. They use it in Europe to get ashore, but I reckon that would make a great diving platform. You can cover this entire sun pad with a sun awning, which makes sense for our conditions. And looking back, the cabin roof has these really sturdy roof racks, so you can put your sailboards, your SUP or a kayak up here, even a bicycle. And it comes with an optional spotlight. The beam is 3 meters give or take, and it is a walk around. So the designers have done incredibly well to get so much sociable space into this wheelhouse. It really does feel large, light and airy. Between the bow, the cockpit and this cabin, you can seat up to 12 people. To access the wheelhouse, there's a large sliding door to starboard. There's also one to port, so the skipper can get out for portside tie-ups. The other benefit of having those 2 doors is cross-flow ventilation. That's complemented by a really large opening sunroof that is manually opened, so nice and simple. And the rear awning window also opens up. And that's important because in the Australian summer, areas like this, a bit confined, can tend to get hot. Really good space utilisation in here as well. For example, this double helm seat folds forward and it creates a really nice seating nook. You can put a table in here for a dinette. You can also put a pad down to create an extra berth. In the absence of a wet bar, they've got a little galley unit here, but it's functional, has a nice sink here and a single burner ceramic stove, and underneath the helm seat is a 12-volt fridge. Apart from the fact that the helm is on the port side, not my preferred starboard, you really can't complain. It's really nicely molded and very functional in its layout. Room for these 2 12-inch Simrad screens, zip weight controls, twin throttles of course, and I have a Lumar bow thruster. You can also order the twin motors with a joystick, but the thruster and the controls do a pretty good job. Dive deeper and you find this C-Zone system which operates all the electrics. Really intuitive and clever. You can adjust all your lighting. For example, navigation lights are now on. You can turn on your wipers, your bilge pumps, everything off this screen. And a lot of those are repeated here with a row of manual switches. And my favorite button of all is this leave boat button. So you touch that, then you have 1 minute to shut the boat down and climb off, and it will turn off all your batteries. I'm now sitting in the forward cabin, which can have a curtain for privacy, but the whole wheelhouse is lockable. Great storage, really good sized bathroom as well. It's proper sitting headroom. Now, adventure boats don't always prioritise accommodation, but in this case I have a really large double berth, great views out the top side window, mood lighting, and just feels really comfortable down here. One of the advantages of reverse bow hull designs is it pushes the volume well forward, so you get this extra space, and the NAVAN also has nice high top sides. Let's talk about this hull from a performance perspective, because the NAVAN C30 really does stand out from the opposition. Aesthetically, it has this nice curved shear line, really modern and contemporary. At the same time, you have the reverse bow. It has a notable curve in the forefoot. That flows then into deep V sections. Interestingly, it's the first twin-step hull to come from the Brunswick stable. They claim it delivers a 15% gain in efficiency, and I would believe it. With that becomes fuel savings and greater range. Pushing up now, there's 2,000 RPM. Speeds just jumped to 9 knots. Really comfortable transition at this stage. There's no bearing. Really feels nice as we come up. There's the planing hump there, and we're straight over it with not the slightest amount of bow rising. Throw it into a turn now. They've told me how responsive it is, and you certainly can feel it on the helm. Deep V sections are working really nicely there. They're softening the chop, and the chines are doing their bit to throw the spray well down and away from us. So nice to be able to just point where you want to go and drive the boat. Perfectly trimmed, fuel efficient. At the moment we've got a couple of feet of swell, wind chop on top of that, and we're striding over. Such a soft riding boat, I can't tell you. Normal deep V's would be crashing and throwing a bit of spray, not this boat. You can still, you've got the confidence to keep that speed up through the corners. Here we go. 4,800 revs, holding 33 knots through that turn. This is fun. I love these new generation boats that reverse power, extends the waterline, gives the boat really settle on its rocker as well. We're not going up and down, there's no bounce. It's like this hull's riding on suspension. The twin step is really working. You can feel it break the hull clear. You can feel it help the softness of the landing. It's not just reducing the water friction, it's providing some aeration underneath there. So you get that little bit of a cushion of foam just as you land. Designed in Miami, and when you hear the words Miami, you think Australia, because our conditions, our climate are very similar. We both go long distances offshore between ports, and so you want that extra comfort, great ventilation, visibility, all the things that work over there apply really well here. So let's just drop it right back. I want to see how well this boat gets out onto the plane. That's almost stationary now. Into gear, and let's go. 4, 5, 6, 8 knots, 10, 12, 14 knots already. We are rocketing along. Over good clean runway ahead. A couple of little bumps here, and then I'll give it everything she's got. Take a nose at 40 knots. And we are now doing 44 knots. 45, but still climbing. Just about 6,000 RPM there, 45.5 knots. Acceleration is extreme. Those 250s, the big V8s, the high capacity motors, they bit deep there, and they just whip this boat onto the plane. When you consider that it could take a single V10 400 horsepower Mercury, which is a wonderful motor in its own right, extremely quiet. It would look a bit lonely out there on the transom, but again, it can do around about 40 to 42 knots. So not a bad option, but you know, you only live once in life, and two motors definitely makes things a little bit more interesting, a little bit safer. It's a new concept for them, and I think the way that this boat goes, it won't be long before the NAVAN C30 is joined by more models in the range. Australian boats will come quite highly spec'd as genuine turnkey packages. You get the bow thruster, shore power, fridges, twin screens, plus you get the roof racks, the tow bar at the back, and lots of other options. As you see it here, the C30 is priced at $435,154. A single 400 will save you about 30 grand, but I really like those twin 250s. Design for memories is NAVAN's motto, and I reckon you won't forget the design quality, the build quality, or the ride quality in a hurry. For a family boat, it is surprisingly luxurious and genuinely sporty. In fact, I have rarely enjoyed driving a boat so much, and it's going to be very difficult to give back the keys. I'm Mark Rothfield for Club Marine TV. See you next time.